got me wondering how I made it so far. You got me wondering how I'ma heal all these scars. Yeah, but I did this to myself. Yeah, and I just need me some help. Yeah, I need some therapy. I need some therapy. I need some therapy. I need some therapy. I had a feeling deep inside, and you know the reason why. Why never again I can trust you? Cause you told me not to worry about the person you booed over now. Now you got me stuck with trust issues. Now I'm easy to giving up. It ain't easier for the next that's trying to heal my core, trying to show me more, trying to love me more. You got me wondering how I made it so far. You got me wondering how I'ma heal all these scars. Yeah, but I did this to myself. Yeah, and I just need me some help. Yeah, I need some therapy. I need some therapy. I need some therapy. I need some therapy. I think it's funny how in the beginning you used to carry me forever, but I guess forever just means temporary. Temporary just allow you to hurt me, cause you're doing surgery. You hurting me, you irking me, cause everybody love me. Your daddy, your granny, still cousins and nannies, there's so many. It was the whole family, yeah. And don't forget the others, all your friends and all your brothers, especially your mother, but you chose love. You got me wondering how I made it so far. You got me wondering how I'ma heal all these scars. Yeah, but I did this to myself. Yeah, and I just need me some help. Yeah, I need some therapy. 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 You got me wondering how I made it so far. You got me wondering how I'ma heal all these scars. Yeah, but I did this to myself. Yeah, and I just need me some help. Yeah, I need some therapy. I need some therapy. I need some therapy. I need some therapy. I had a feeling deep inside, and you know the reason why. Why never again I can trust you? Cause you told me not to worry about the person you booed over now. Now you got me stuck with trust issues. Now I'm easy to giving up. It ain't easier for the next that's trying to heal my core, trying to show me more, trying to love me more. You got me wondering how I made it so far. You got me wondering how I'ma heal all these scars. Yeah, but I did this to myself. Yeah, and I just need.
Whoa, I'm a robot. Me more. So I just want to remind you to sign up for Hands-Free Work Camp. You can go to handsfreemissions.org, click on Work Camp and 2021 registration, create an account and log in, and then click on Add Participants and put your information in. Work Camp is less than a month away. Woo!
Hey everyone, welcome to the RAVEstream. I'm so glad you all could be with us, even if it's few, if it's many. I'm glad you could be a part of this stream because it's coming to an end. We've only got a couple more weeks until the summer starts, and I don't know, are we going to be doing like a RAVEstream every week in the summer? We could, but it's certainly not going to be as involved as we currently are now. So thank you all for tuning in. Tonight we've got a couple announcements. We're going to start off by reminding you to sign up for Hands-Free Work Camp. We will show a more detailed thing at the end after our lesson today, but make sure that you sign up for that. It doesn't take too long, and it just makes it easier on Rodney and I. But yeah, summer is approaching fast. We've also, do we have Impact signups yet, or are we still waiting? We've got Impact signups, so just email Rodney, let him know, and yeah, you'll be signed up for Impact. It's going to be fun. It's more of a day camp this time. I think it's running from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So we'll be staying off campus this year and then coming onto the campus from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. To enjoy our time there. So, today we're going to be talking about body health when it comes to keeping pace, because it's very important for runners to be in peak physical condition. And similarly, it's important for, in our spiritual lives, to be doing the proper things to keep ourselves a well-oiled machine. So I'm going to start by looking at Proverbs chapter 18, verse 1. And we don't have the verse on the screen because I'm lazy. I didn't inform Rodney. I didn't get stuff put up. My bad. But you can follow along with me with your Bible, or you can just listen to my radio announcer-esque voice. So I'm going to be reading from the English Standard Version, Proverbs 18:1. Whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound judgment. So that contains a word that we've probably heard of a lot of over the past year. Isolate, right? Self-isolate, isolate yourself alone, which is kind of redundant. But the idea of isolation is being separated from the masses or the group. And from a spiritual point of view, that's not the best place to be. There's a common, fable or story told. I don't think it was necessarily said in the Bible. It could have been. I can't remember. There's a lot of good ones in the Bible. But it was about if you've got one twig, it's very easy to break it. But if you've got multiple twigs all wrapped in a bundle, it's much harder because they're stronger together, because they're all acting against the force you're putting on it together, and they can spread the load a little bit more. Isolation spiritually is how we mess up as Christians, because when we're on our own, it's so much easier to get sort of caught in our own mind and go, well, I conclude this, so therefore this, and if you don't have someone checking on you all the time, and I'm not saying you need someone all the time, but if you don't have someone checking on you some of the time, you're going to be caught in a cycle where you make conclusions that come from false assumptions. And, this can happen at school, it can happen in your home, it can happen anywhere where you just sort of get in a little bit of an echo chamber. You're isolated. And we've seen this happen, from respected scientists like, just as a hypothetical, well, this isn't hypothetical, this is historical fact. What am I talking about? Back in, I think, the early centuries, Aristotle was one of the leading scientists of the time. And it was his opinion that flies were generated from, maggots and flies were generated from raw meat. That was where they came from. Now, that seems ridiculous now because we understand like the life cycle of flies and maggots and how, flies lay eggs in the meat or trash or whatever, and then they grow and they hatch. But Aristotle didn't know this. To most people, they were like, well, if you set a piece of meat outside, flies and maggots come out of it. So why would anyone question Aristotle? And the reason they didn't is because a lot of the people back then, to them, Aristotle was like this huge guy, this like pinnacle of scientific knowledge, because he knew many things. He was considered a philosopher and a researcher. And they were like, well, this makes sense. I can see it with my own eyes, right? You stick meat outside, maggots come out of it eventually. So what happened? And because we had this sort of echo chamber in a sort of people just thinking about, hey, this guy says it is, I can verify it. They didn't even think to say, well, maybe my assumption is wrong. And that's kind of what we do spiritually on occasion, is we'll get to that point where, well, okay, I'm assuming this, and I'm going to conclude this, but, oh wait, my assumption was wrong. And then we're just sort of, we're off track from the very beginning. And we don't even realize that we're off track because we don't have someone correcting us. We don't have someone critiquing us. That's how all good ideas are formed, is by someone saying, well, here, I have this idea. And someone saying, well, here's problems X, Y, and Z. And the next person says, okay, so I've changed it a little bit. Here's my new idea. And they're like, well, we still got problems X and Y, but you've taken care of Z. And that's how all scientific ideas are reformed, refined, and eventually become theory. So that's basically sort of an overview of how isolation isn't good. Another thing is, when we're connecting with others, the Bible's very clear on this, right? It's very important to be connected with other people. When I was preparing for this lesson tonight, now keep in mind, I procrastinated. I only spent like 10 minutes writing down verses. Okay, that's on me. But I did do a bunch of scrolling because I was curious, like, is there any positive verses in the Bible about isolation? I couldn't find a single one. I scrolled for about 5 minutes, and I was like, well, that's negative, that's negative, that's negative. So I'm willing to bet that there's probably not, and if there is, some extreme circumstances are applied. But yeah, in Genesis 2:18, that God said it is not good that man is alone, so I'm going to make a helper fit for him, right? I mean, even God was like, okay, we've got one person on the planet. That's not good. That's not happening. And he sticks another person there with him. So that just all ties into the fact that isolation really is not your best friend. And I think we've seen this a lot for the past years. We've had, people be separated and isolated, and we've seen mental health take a little bit of a nosedive, right? We've seen people get, well, what's the point? What's the motivation? And for a lot of people, it's really sad. It's disappointing. Because we're so used to human contact. Even those of us that are introverted, that don't really like people as much.
And you hang out with my family?
Yeah, I know. Your family, it takes many days of therapy after an outing with your family. But when it comes to being isolated, even if we don't require a ton of interaction and that sort of thing, we still require some. We still require some sort of feedback. Eventually, it gets tired just spewing the same ideas out into our head that we came from our head. Us coming up with our own ideas and then enjoying them ourselves. I mean, that works for dreaming, I guess, because half of your brain is being surprised and the other half of your brain is coming up with the story. It's like, wow, I did not see that plot twist coming. And the other half's like, yeah, you didn't, did you? But that's not most of your life, right? You don't spend most of your life asleep and dreaming. At least I hope not. If so, geez, get some sleep and get some food in you. That doesn't sound fun. But yeah, the next point I just wanted to touch on was we hear this a lot throughout the Bible. Well, once throughout the Bible. Iron sharpening iron, right? I don't really like this phrase per se, because I know from a modern point of view that's not really an efficient way to sharpen stuff, at least not if you want a uniform sharpening. But it is true that back in Israelite times, they would use two swords to sharpen another, and both swords had an impact on each other. You didn't have one sword that was firm and the other sword was sharpened and changed. Both of the swords would sharpen each other as a result. And this is highlighted in Proverbs 27:17, where it says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." What's really interesting to me is the emphasis on how it takes two or more. There's a verse in the Bible, I can't remember where, and I don't have it on me, which is that, every person is a part of this one body, and you can't just separate out people's tasks and go, okay, they can manage all of it on their own, because they can't, right? You've got one person being the hands, one the feet, kidney, liver, or in Rodney's case, the one person that manages all that Mountain Dew input, which I feel bad for that person. That's a lot of work. But we have this sort of concept of multiple people improving each other through routine contact and checking up on each other, being accountable. There's not really much incentive to improve when you don't have anyone to show that to, right? I certainly would not be as interested in physics and math if I couldn't go on up to someone and say, well, here's why this is cool, and here's why you should study it even though you don't like it. If I didn't have it, what's the point, right? That's another reason why lots of people, practice instruments, is because you can show them to other people. You can demonstrate. You can play guitar. You can play piano. I knew that was going to happen eventually. I always knock stuff off the table. And now, watch, one of these days I'm going to fall out of this chair, and it's going to be funny, and every time I send a message to someone about a youth group event, they're just going to ping this video back to me when I fell out of the chair. But we have these instruments that we practice because it's not just for ourselves. It can be, right? You enjoy playing music and singing and just enjoying the outside air. That's always fun, but it's nice to jam out with, oh goodness, that makes me sound like I'm from the 80s. You never know. It could be worse. It could be the 90s. I'm from there too. Oh, you're from what? Okay, no, you can't claim 2 decades. You got to pick one. You got to pick one. I am from the 2000s.
I was born in 82. I was a child in the 80s, and I was a teenager in the 90s.
Rodney's here, by the way. He's just feeling puny, so he decided we would switch roles, and he would tell me about this late. So, thanks. Do you want a little pity clap? I'll give you a little pity clap. Okay, you're doing all right. I love how Jenny is just trashing me in the chat while she's sitting right there. The nerve. It's like you won't even say that to my face.
Here's that verse you were talking about.
All right, here's that verse. Oh goodness, this is a big one. All right, can we get a zoom? There we go. Right. Not that kind of zoom, but a. So yeah, we've got this verse. This isn't Romans, is it? 1 Corinthians. Thank you. It says, the eye cannot say to the hand, I don't need you. And the head cannot say to the feet, I don't need you. On the contrary, those parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable, and the parts that we think are less honorable we treat with special honor. And the parts that are unpresentable are treated with special modesty, while our presentable parts need no special treatment. But God has put the body together, giving greater honor to the parts that lacked it, so that there should be no division in the body, but that its parts should have equal concern for each other. If one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. Now you are the body of Christ, and each one of you is a part of it. So again, this really solidifies the idea that we're all together collectively improving each other and being better people and better Christians together. I would venture to say that isolation for a prolonged period of time is not going to be great in a variety of ways. If you think, well, that's fine. I stayed 6 months in my house. I'm doing fine. Yeah, I would argue you didn't really truly isolate. You still had Amazon deliver you stuff. You still had Grubhub and DoorDash giving you food. You still had videos on the internet where you could watch and see other people doing stuff and react to it and enjoy it. I wouldn't say that's necessarily a accurate comparison to, say, like someone being placed in an entirely white room that's soundproof for multiple days, which, fun fact, is how you drive people insane. Yeah, I don't recommend it. Not that I know from previous experience. That took a really dark turn. I don't know. It just took really, really dark. Yeah, absolutely. When you have that echo chamber and when you're isolating by yourself, I would say that it's really easy to, when you don't have other people inputting, it's easy to ignore the positives and just to chalk it up to like, well, you're just saying that, saying that to yourself, which is a funny way of, you're just saying that. But yeah, every negative thought becomes an echo. You're right, Jenny. It just keeps reverberating unless you get rid of them. I don't know why I'm looking at the screen while I'm thanking you for that opinion. You're right here. I'll make you co-host at some point. You're going to get up here. But yeah, that's all the thoughts I had personally, just right off the bat. Does anyone else have any comments instead of putting them in the chat and not connecting with me? Jennifer Ann Kuhn?
You can talk to them.
You can talk. You don't have to just message. Anyone have any adds on to the lesson? I know this was a little short tonight, but we'll make up for that by I'll just act like I'm incompetent at the hands-free login thing.
My only comment would be that I would, and you can reiterate this, but you can't, there is nothing in Scripture that is done outside of relationship.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's people that are connecting with each other, people interacting with each other, people interacting with God, and the only time that things go badly is when, things go badly quite often, but you can find situations in Scripture where somebody went off by themselves.
Right.
Where they said they denounced God, or they did this, or they did that. But even that is precipitated by a decision to break covenant, to break relationship. But every time that happens, something bad happens.
Yeah.
Every time. But you can't find anything in Scripture that is done outside of relationship with each other, with God. It's just not there. Yeah, that's absolutely true, and it's definitely important to make sure that you have the right kinds of relationships, because just as you can't accomplish much good outside of relationships, and you're not going to be very well off outside of relationships. There's definitely some relationships that you're going to be worse off being in. Just because it's a relationship doesn't mean it's necessarily a good thing. It doesn't mean it's necessarily helping you. It certainly can. Unequally yoked. Yeah, unequally yoked, right? Where you're taking more burden than they, and you're not sharing each other's burdens equivalently. You're not lifting each other up, not building each other up. So yeah, that's where we're gonna stop tonight.
thank you all for joining us. Don't leave yet. We've got a little bit of a tutorial for how we're going to be able to sign up for hands-free work camp. So I, like you, procrastinate. Like, really bad. I said I was going to clean my room on Monday. It's Wednesday already, and it's likely going to be Friday. And yes, you should do it. You should register.
Do it!
Just get it done. Just do it. I know who I'm talking to. Yes, you. The one who's picking their nose right now. I see you.
Hannah! It's disgusting!
No. I was just trying to scare the online audience, guys. I'm not talking about any of y'all. But yeah, so we've got the website. It's that way. It's that way. It's not. Hang on. There we go.
I can put it behind you.
Ooh, you're gonna put it behind me? Oh yes, I'm gonna be like a weatherman. Hang on. we scared Ellie.
I can totally put it behind you.
Hang on. Let's get this out of the shot. Right, stick this on over here.
There we go.
Just pose like that for a few more seconds.
There you go.
Hey, look at that. So we've got all this stuff over here and all this stuff over here, and you know there's going to be a cold front moving in from the top side of the web page, and you'll notice over here in Muscle Shoals we've got a warm front that's just about to pass through. No, but be sure to register for work camp. You can click either of these
handsfreemissions.org.
handsfreemissions.org. We've got these two nice buttons right here and here, or you can get right here and click right there. So when signing up for work camp, we've got, you're just flashing all your emails to everyone online, so that might not be best. We'll have to edit that. But you put in a username, you put in a password to sign up. We're just gonna put in like some sort of stupid password.
Password. Password is a very stupid password.
1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same number that's on my luggage. Comment below if you got that. MER 0030 at uah.edu.
This is important.
It's very important. Yes. Group leaders or participants right here, okay? I am
a participant.
You'll
be a participant.
I'll be
because you're not a youth minister.
Okay. That makes sense. So I haven't quite been promoted just yet, but if you're like me and you're not Rodney, put down participant. Because it makes. Could you not spell your stupid password the same again? Okay, there we go. So and just like that, I'm signed up. I didn't even have to do it, y'all, but I'm lucky because Rodney is behind the computer. But y'all actually have to. I keep getting it wrong. Y'all actually have to sign up. Okay, y'all actually have to make sure you do the steps. There's this thing right here. You can. That's how Rodney adds participants. And yeah, if you're not on the list, bad stuff happens. You know, fire and brimstone and.
Go to add participant, hit add new.
Yep.
Pick your church, and then add all your information.
Add all your information. This will help you accommodated. Will help you be accommodated, right? It'll get you registered. Make sure everything's all set up.
And they can do it. They can do it on the website, or they can do it in person on Sunday after assembly.
Absolutely. So you've got either online or assembly. Really not an excuse. This registration would take all of 15 minutes if you're not good with computers, and if you are, probably 5 to 10. So yeah, cost is $70, but if money's an issue, it's not an issue. Come, have a good time, let us know, sign up. But we can't do anything if you're not signed up and you don't tell us you're coming. Because, Graham has to know how much we're cooking for, so. Thank you all for joining us on the RAVEstream. I'm going to do. Should I dab for the outro? No. I have some amount of dignity. Instead, I will give you a nice little little bit of a sword play there, and I will see you guys.
Extreme!
We got an extreme moment. No, we don't. Okay. Well, it's been extremely nice to see you. Have a good day.